Dragon Ball is one of the most important anime franchises of all time. Heck, I would even argue it is the most important. There is a reason why they refer to it as the grandfather of all shonen anime. It laid the groundwork for so many important anime series that came after it, namely One Piece, Naruto, Bleach, Demon Slayer, Jujutsu Kaisen, the list goes on. And for many of us, it wasn't just a show, it was the show. Dragon Ball, and specifically Dragon Ball Z, is a cultural phenomenon. You can walk to any Joe Schmo on the street and ask them, who the hell is this guy? And they'll be able to tell you that is Goku. And what's crazy is that Dragon Ball even has its ties to the underworld. The cartel over in Mexico takes Dragon Ball really seriously. It is truly in a league of its own where anime is concerned. But unfortunately, in today's times, whenever Dragon Ball is spoken of, specifically Dragon Ball Super, the movies and the manga, it's rather complicated. You have some fans who love where the series is now, whereas other fans feel like something has been lost along the way, including myself. It feels like the foundation of modern Dragon Ball is just fan service and cash grabs. Without pretending that the past was perfect and the present is worthless, it sure does have its pros and cons. Well, I'd say the biggest positive is that Dragon Ball never dies. After GT concluded, the story could have stayed in a nostalgia bubble for the rest of time, and that is what was accepted as the canon ending at the time. But instead we got a Dragon Ball renaissance over in 2015, when Dragon Ball Super came out. And even before then, when the Battle of Gods movie came out, I think 2013 it was, Dragon Ball became a global conversation once again. Newer generations were given the opportunity to discover Goku, Vegeta and the Z Fighters for the first time. A franchise staying relevant for 40 years is no easy task. And the animation of modern day Dragon Ball does have its ups and downs. I'm looking at you, episode 5 of Dragon Ball Super. But when it does hit, it hits hard. I'm looking at the moments within the Tournament of Power with Ultra Instinct Goku, and the Broly movie was Dragon Ball at its peak. We don't talk about superheroes animation, man. That was a stylized piece, that's for sure. But the fact of it is, most of it was Dragon Ball at its best. The choreography was smoother, the impacts felt heavier, and the scale was massive. At its best, modern day Dragon Ball looked like an absolute masterpiece, up there with god tier levels of anime. Not to mention that Dragon Ball Super expanded the lore. I will say they leaned more into fan ideas though, with the multiverse and the gods of destruction, the angels, and mortal levels beyond gods. This expanded the world far beyond Earth versus the next bad guy that shows up. It gave Dragon Ball a cosmic feel that fits the scale of how strong the characters became. But I would argue that is where the downfall comes in. I feel like Vegeta benefited the most from modern day Dragon Ball, especially in Super's manga specifically. Vegeta dealing with his guilt, his pride, they tapped into themes way deeper than his rivalry with Goku. Not to mention his relationship with Cabba as well. Vegeta felt more like a mentor that was growing, instead of a side character that felt way more than just the ops to Goku. He became his own man. And that is one of the biggest positives with modern Dragon Ball. And then we get to the cons, man, the cons. Modern day Dragon Ball stakes feel meaningless. Nothing feels permanent anymore. Death, reversible. Thank you, Whis. Planet being destroyed, fixable. Thank you, Whis, once again. And the Dragon Balls, let's face it. Universe is erased? Maybe, but also temporary. Whereas older Dragon Ball made you believe that things could end. Yes, they had the Dragon Balls as well, but they had ways of writing it out of the story. We had the story of if Piccolo died, or if Kami died, the Dragon Balls died along with him. That was established in the Saiyan Saga. And the Android Saga wrote Goku out with a heart virus. Majin Buu actually destroyed the Earth. The stakes were higher than ever. While modern Dragon Balls just feels like there's a safety net under everything. When everything can be undone just like that, when characters like Whis exist, the tension disappears just like that. Do I even have to mention the god of everything, Zeno? And another problem that Dragon Ball Super has is power scaling. Characters jump from struggling against this villain to fighting gods themselves. You get Goku being shot in the back of the chest with a ray gun, all the way going to be able to fight Hit, and then being able to square up against someone like Jiren later on. And this all happens in incredibly short time spans. And it doesn't help that Dragon Ball Super takes place within the 10-year time skip between when they kill Majin Buu and the end of Dragon Ball Z. And taking it back to the power scaling, it feels less like growth and more like, okay, this character needs to be strong in order to face up against this character. Look at what they did to Master Roshi, man. I love Roshi, but come on, that whole thing of, oh, he was hiding his power level this whole time, he's been training in secret, that was an asspull. And Tien being invited into the Tournament of Power, why didn't they get Pikkon? Pikkon is way stronger than Tien. And Krillin, man, being the first eliminated in the Tournament of Power, you gotta be kidding me, man. When the power levels are increased just like that, it feels like victories are not earned. And one of the major problems I got with this series is Goku's character regression. Goku used to be everyone's hero. He was like the anime version of Superman. This one hurt for long-time fans, man. I'm telling you. Goku in Z was not stupid. He was simple, but he wasn't stupid, man. He understood consequences, sacrifice, and responsibility. Yes, there were moments when he gave Cell a senzu bean, but obviously he gave Cell the senzu bean because he knew what Gohan was capable of. And then there was him giving the win over to Goten and Trunks to beat Majin Buu and not doing it himself in Super Saiyan 3. Yeah, there are moments like that. But as a whole, Goku was a smart fighter. He wasn't dumb, he was a master of the martial arts. While modern day Dragon Ball just makes Goku feel like an idiot. They lean way too hard into making Goku feel more naive, but then he ends up just doing reckless things at the end of the day. Knowing what the consequences of asking for a Tournament of Power from Zeno could bring, he still went ahead and go put all the universes on high alert, putting it all on the line, the risk of being erased. It felt like he forgot some serious lessons that he learned from his mentor Master Roshi. And not to mention Goku not knowing what the hell a kiss is. Despite having 2 damn kids! Instead of evolving, he felt less mature than ever before. And another problem is with the side characters. Despite the multiverse being larger than ever before, many characters remain in the dust. Spectators, if you will. Way too often arcs will boil down to, wait until Vegeta and Goku shows up, they'll finish the job. Dragon Ball has an incredible cast. They could have written a compelling story for the humans like Krillin, Tien, even Yamcha, but the modern stories rarely commit to actually making them matter long term. And then there is the canon and non-canon debate. This all started when Broly became canon, and then the fans were divided. Okay, we have Z Broly already, and now we also got Super Broly. Okay, Akira Toriyama, he created Super Broly, so that has to be the canon one, and the movie one is non-canon. That's a damn shame because the movies have so many good characters like Cooler, Bojack, Android 13, Janemba, but it feels like whatever is gonna come out now is just gonna be replacing what came before. And Dragon Ball Daima just threw a wrench into everything. They created their own version of Super Saiyan 4, effectively retconning the entirety of GT, while it was already established that GT was non-canon when Super came out. By creating their own version of Super Saiyan 4 just hit nail into that coffin. And not to mention it confuses modern day viewers on what they should watch. They know they should watch OG Dragon Ball and then Dragon Ball Z, but some of them opt for Dragon Ball Kai for a shortened version of it. But then they're not sure if they should watch GT, Super, or Daima. What comes, they're not sure. It is so confusing, it is a cluster shag. And if you just have to come with a semblance of criticism, they run over to their Dragon Ball daddies and they come for your ass. It's like you're not allowed to have an opinion anymore. The Dragon Ball fanbase, ever since Dragon Ball Super released, has become incredibly toxic. I just wish we can go back to a time where things were so much more simpler, where GT concluded and we just had Dragon Ball AF as a fanfiction, where the fans were making their own stories, just making their own worlds and expanding the universe on their own, without any fights or drawbacks on what is canon or not. I'd much prefer something like that than what we have today, where the fans come after you for having an opinion and send death threats your way every single opportunity they get. If you truly love Dragon Ball, you would want the best for it. You wouldn't be attacking the next person for having an opinion on it. And now I'm hearing stories about Dragon Ball coming back, and don't know if that's gonna happen or not, but if it does, I really do hope the fanbase does better. And let's go back to the main issue of modern day Dragon Ball. It is not bad. It is just torn between two identities. On the one side, a series with emotional weight and history, and on the other side, a spectacle-driven franchise led by hype, memes, and global marketing. Modern day Dragon Ball wants to honor the past, but the way they do it by rehashing old stories and refusing to move on and create new ones, it's basically tainting what came before. And look, Dragon Ball Super and Dragon Ball Daima is not this untouchable masterpiece that the fans make it out to be. It is a franchise that is still searching for balance. A balance between nostalgia and evolution. Character and spectacle. They refuse to take risks. And maybe that's okay, because at the end of the day, whether you love it or whether you hate it, we are still talking about Dragon Ball. Instead of looking what is different here and what is different there, we should actually look for what we have in common. Because at the end of the day, we are all Dragon Ball fans. Like, share, and subscribe, and I'll be sure to be back with another video real soon. Peace.
I'm glad to know, so leave your valuables, then I'll spare your lives.